All right. It's 2:30, 2:32, 2:33, something like that. We're live now. And I'm just going to wait a minute for people to start coming in. Looks like they are. Hi, Jennifer. Yes, it has been a while. Hey, Wendy. Okay. All right. Wendy, I'm so jealous that you got to go to Bead Fest, was it? I keep thinking about it and I always keep forgetting about it. So maybe next year I'll make it. Hi, Patricia. I know you had a good time. I'm ready for a good time. Okay. Hi, Amy. All right. So people are coming on and I'm going to get started. Um, Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these seed bead earrings with cones. Um, I have two different ones right here, two different cones. And when I had first thought about these, I thought about the long, skinny cones. I kind of like those, but when I was looking for them to purchase them, I thought they were kind of expensive. And then I remembered that I had bought some Tierra cast cones for a different project a while back, and I still had quite a few of them left. So I'm going to be using these for future uh, projects. But either one, there's tons of different cones out there. Um, if you go for sterling silver, of course, you're going to pay more for them. It just depends on what you want. Um, Hi, Kathy. Hi, Deb. Hi, Mary. All right. So we're getting a good bunch of people in here. Okay, and then for the beads, I'm using um, 8O and 11O seed beads, and then I have 2 millimeter and 3 millimeter round sterling beads. Uh, you can use whatever you want. I just prefer like the smaller size beads. I think these might look funny if you had, larger beads, but for these size, I think it works really nicely with the cones. So, someone had asked me earlier where I get my beads from, and to be honest, I get them from a variety of places, but primarily the Beadsmith because I have an account with them, and so I normally, get my seed beads through there. But occasionally, I can't find something that I want, and I'll go elsewhere. I'll have a list of in the handout of where I get some of my seed beads. Hi, Lana. Okay, so usually when I go to bead shows, I pick up a lot of seed beads, but around my area there hasn't been anything anymore. When Bead and Button was around, Milwaukee is only like 2.5 hours from me, and I would stock up on seed beads a lot when I was there. So, but that's gone. So I get them where I can get them. Hi, Bev. All right. So I said what kind of beads we need. I usually get them in tubes. Sometimes when I get them from Helby, or not Helby, from the Beadsmith, they will come in larger containers like this that will take me a good long while to go through. Um, and then, let's see what else. Then I am using a cord. This is Superlon. This is Superlon fine bead cord. It is Tex TEX 135 Superlon Fine. And I think that you could use other cords, but I do like the weight of this one. It's similar to the cord that I use for Kumihimo. So if you have any tough cord, uh, some of the thinner, like maybe two or three, maybe one or two actually, um, it needs to be thin enough to go through some of those small seed bead holes, um, but you want it to be strong enough too. I have tried Fireline. I was trying a variety of different threads and cords. Fireline, I don't think I have it near me, but Fireline is too fine. And certain cords, if they're like folded on a package, wound around a package, I should put it that way, you'll get the kinks in it. And I think unless you would iron it, which I've never done anything like that, you get the kinks show up in the beads. I also tried Flexrite, like a beading wire. That didn't work at all. Uh, it hung nicely, but then I couldn't figure out how to connect it all together. So um, I am going to stick with the Superlon cord. You just want to make sure that it's not too thick. Uh, okay, then the next thing, I am using a big eye needle. I've used these a lot for different projects. Um, and then I am using these cones from Tierra Cast. These are hammered cones. And let me see if I wrote down the size because I don't remember. I don't know. It's maybe like 15 by 10 millimeters, something like that. You want to make sure that the diameter is big enough to fit all your cords through there and hide the knot that you're going to put in there. If you've done Kumihimo, especially with me, you'll know that you've got these cords and you've got to disconnect them and glue them together. And that's pretty much what we're going to be doing in this, and hiding them, stuffing them into the cone. Okay. Hi, Lori. Hi, Patty. Yeah, Patty says, I never know what cord or thread to use. And that's true. It's difficult sometimes. Um, and I can tell you that this is the one I like, but there's probably lots of other similar cords that will work just as well. You just don't want it, like I said, too thick or too thin. All right. So in my instructions, which I will, do the handout later after the demo's over, in the instructions, it says to cut 6 pieces, but I work right off of my spool because it's just easier for me. Um, so if you have that opportunity to just work off the spool, that's what I would suggest. Um, and I'm also cutting the cord when I do cut it. I'm going to cut it longer, way longer than it seems to need to be. But the reason I do that is because we are going to be knotting all these cords together. And to make that knot, you've got to have sufficient length to make that knot. You'll see it as I do it. Okay. All right. So I have an assortment, and you know what? I'm doing a certain pattern. It doesn't matter. You could do whatever you want to do with whatever beads you're using. I just found a pattern that I like, and that's what I'm going to do today. But you can always switch that up if you want to do that. For these earrings, I'm going to be using 3 cords per earring. And I didn't do this off of any kind of instructions. I kind of just figured it out on my own. And the first few attempts were really bad, and I was really way off. But pretty much what I'm figuring is the longest cord is about 4 inches of beads. Then the middle cord is about 3 inches of beads. And the final loop is about 2 inches of beads. So give or take a bead or two. That's probably a good uh, guesstimate of how long these should be. I saw when I was antiquing one day with a friend, I had seen a pair of uh, Native American earrings. I'm assuming that's what they were, that I really liked. And they were the same 3 loops, but they had a spacer bead, like a 3, I don't know how to describe it. it's like a 3-hole spacer that they had, excuse me, that they had um, separating the cords. So it laid more flat than it did, you know, uh, dimensional like this. And I could not for the life of me figure it out. And I did find, just this morning, I did find some of those 3-hole beads in my stash, and I put one on here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's a 3-hole spacer bead, and that was the idea, was that these would lay flat, but even then I'm having problems with this, so I haven't finished this. This is still in the works to try to figure it out. But I thought that was kind of a neat look too, to just have that flat and have those 3 graduated loops. But I don't know. It'll take some more figuring out. All right. Hey, Jackie. Okay, so what you'll need is, like I said, the big eye needle. I always use a pair of flat nose pliers when I'm pushing. Sometimes you have to push the bead through on the string. I'll show you that as we work, so you'll understand what I'm talking about. So the flat nose pliers, then you're going to need a pair of round nose pliers and chain nose pliers. When we close up the knot, I'm using some Zap gel glue. It's super glue, but it's in a gel form, so you can use any brand. It doesn't have to be Zap, but it's what I've got. Using 2 and 3 millimeter silver beads. There again, that's a design choice. And a pair of wire cutters. And I've got some 22 gauge sterling wire that I'm going to use. If I can get it out of the bag. It's hooked up here. Okay, just a couple of lengths of the sterling gauge wire, but you can use craft wire too. It just depends on the materials you want to use on your projects. And I'm going to say probably maybe cut 5 inches. We'll get to that though later. I always would rather have more than not enough. And if you end up with little bits of extra length of wire, if you can't really use it for anything, you can always put it in your scrap pile. All right, so I'm going to turn the camera down. I hope I didn't miss saying hello to anybody that was said hello. All right. So, let's see if I can get this. I always forget about raising the my working surface a little bit. Let's see. What can I use? Well, I'll just see if I can get the camera closer, if that's better. All right, so I just have a bead mat on the table with my beads kind of scattered out. And let's see, am I in the frame? Well, get back here. Maybe push that back a little bit. If I don't knock these off the table. Okay. All right, let's try that. All right, so working off of the spool, I am going to, if you're not familiar with a big eye needle, it's just a needle. It's like 2 needles that are fused together at the ends, and it splits open so that you can put your thread in there, your larger thread in there, and work with that. All right. Hey, Carol. All right. So I've got my beads, and I would suggest that you start and end with the 11 millimeter beads, which are the smallest ones, because those are the ones that are going to get stuffed under the bead cap. So I'm going to pick up just randomly, I don't know, I'm going to pick up 5 of these 11Os to start off with. And like I said, it gets tight with these little ones to get those to go through the needle. So I'll just hold on to the needle with my flat nose pliers and just push these down onto the thread. Okay. All right. Give myself a little bit more slack here. All right. So then I'm just going to create a pattern. I've got some red. They're a very dark red, but 11O beads and some kind of beigey, stripy beads. So I'm just going to pick up one 11 red and then a little stripy bead, another 11 red, an 8O in the turquoise, a silver 3mm cord. This is what I did on the other bead, so I'm trying to match it. And then another 8, and then I'm going to push these down. And just repeat that pattern for this this one loop. So a red, a stripy, a red, an 8O, a silver, a turquoise, and then push those down. Occasionally, one of these big eye needles may break. It does happen. And it's probably just from the stress of me, yanking this down. But if you buy a big eye needle, buy a couple of them at least. Um, they're good to have around for lots of other projects as well. All right. I'll show you the pattern in just a minute as we build it up here. All right. So I want for this first one, I want about 4 inches of beads. So I'm just going to keep repeating this pattern until I get there. And honestly, it doesn't take all that long to reach the length. So it might seem kind of monotonous in the beginning, but it really goes by pretty quickly. And I kind of stack up the beads a little bit before I pull them down, but that's up to you. Okay. I should probably have these separated a little bit nicer so I can get to them a little bit easier. But why make it easy when you can make it tough? All right. I tend to like this color palette a lot. The turquoisey and the beiges and the darker red. I just think they all kind of go well together. You can do whatever you like. I may make kits of this if there's enough interest. I think I have enough beads and bead caps to make several kits if anybody's interested. So I haven't made a kit in a while, so I don't mind once in a while coming up with one. And I'll tell you also, that makes it a lot easier so that you don't have to hunt online for all kinds of different beads too. So I always like getting kits when I'd go to like bead shops or different places where you can buy different kits already assembled. Takes the stress out of hunting everything down. All right. I'm going to measure this pretty soon. I should be at 4 inches fairly soon for cord number 1. Oh, can you guys see okay? Is the broadcast clear? Jumping around? I hope not. I hope it's clear. I don't have my ruler with me. All right, let's see where we're at. Well, we are at 4 inches already. But like I had said, you want to make sure, I can go ahead and add, you want to start and end with the little tiny beads, like I said earlier, just because we want them to fit under the bead cap. And I had said too that, it's approximately 4 inches, 3 inches, and 2 inches in length. And that's quite a bit over. I'm going to measure that against one that I already did, although it's not entirely accurate because some of it's hiding under the bead cap. This might be a little bit longer, but that's okay. I'm going to leave it that way. So now that I've got all the beads on this one cord, I am going to take my big eye needle out, and I'm going to leave myself a sufficient amount of thread, like I said, because tying the knot later on, you just need that extra length. All right, so I'm going to cut this thread off. And you can put this over to the side where you're not going to knock into it. You could put a bead stopper on it, like I'm going to on this one, just so the beads don't come off the end. Or if you didn't have a bead stopper, you could put a little piece of tape on the table and uh, just secure it there so it doesn't fall off. So this is the first loop of the 3. Okay. Oh, good. I'm glad. You never know with these broadcasts if they're going to be good or not. So good to hear. All right, so now I'm going to thread. And I imagine, if I do the kits, I will roll off plenty of the cord, and it'll be on one of those bobbin spool things that I usually send with my kits. So you don't have to pre-cut your cords at all. All right, so we're going to start cord number 2, and I'm going to make the pattern a little bit different on that one. And this one is going to be mostly the turquoise 8/0 beads. I'm going to do 6 of the 8/0 turquoise, and then I'm going to put a 3mm silver ball on there. Push those down. And just repeat these 6 8/0s and the 3mm silver ball, bead ball, whatever, the round bead. Any questions while I'm doing this little busy work here? 6 and 1. This is a very easy repeating pattern here. I have used, while we're doing this, I have used several different bead companies, Art Beads, Fusion Beads, Potomac Bead Company, Lima Beads. I can't think of all the other ones, but like I said, I'll write them down for you. Hey, Deb Henready. All right. Let's see where my ruler is. Oh, and I didn't start with the little beads, and I need to do that. So I need to add, I'm going to put maybe 5 of the 11O beads on this end, and I need to add them to this other end. And I'm going to be way over, so I'm going to take a few beads off. Take my bead needle out. And then I'm going to cut my cord over here. And I want to compare the length. That's too close, so in size. So I'm going to take a few off, and like I said, it doesn't have to be precise, but you want to get it as close as you can, just so that your earrings match. There's those little ones. Take one off here. That's not going to make a big deal of difference. All right, so I don't know. I still think that's too close. It's almost. I'll take one of these little ones off on each side. Okay, so I have 2 of the 3 strands done. I'll set those aside, and we'll do the 3rd one. Okay. And for this one, it's just going to be a series of the little beads. So I will start with a blue, a light brown, and a red, and a 2 millimeter silver bead. Another blue. I'm going to say that's a tan color. It's not really brown and it's not really beige, but okay. Red and a 2 millimeter ball. Oops. These are a little hard to hold on to and get it through the hole easily. All right. We'll do the blue, tan, a red, and a silver. Okay. And pull these down. It goes relatively quickly. This one's going to be shorter, of course. It's the last one. The last of the 3 loops, I mean. I'm not going to do the second earring. I'm just going to do this one to completion so you can see the whole process, and then you just repeat it for the second one, second earring. Oh, I'm just nimble fingers here, or fumble fingers, I should say. All right, do a couple more, and then I'm going to measure. I'm over 2 inches there too, so let's line them up with the other strands. All right. Okay, so I'm going to take the needle off of this thread. That's plenty of beads on that 3rd cord, and disconnect this cord. And then what I do, because I have tried it several ways, and this is enough to drive you batty when you're working with several cords. You get kind of tripped up and everything. So what I'm going to do is tie each cord individually. I found that to work better for me. So I'm just going to do an overhand knot. And this is the tricky part, is you don't want to get your beads or your cord caught in your beads when you're tying your knot. That's what I was saying about having longer cords, because you need to have enough to make your knots with. Okay, so that's number one. I'm going to set that aside so I don't get caught in that. And okay, just make sure that it's tight, but not so tight that it buckles. You don't want that. Okay, so that's number two. That's going to fit inside of that. Okay, in our original first strand, they want to travel. Okay. Okay, so that's the one, number one, number two, and number three. And they're not going to fit inside of each other. They ideally I would like that. I mean, they do, but they won't stay that way. All right. So now that I've got all three knotted, I am going to cut my wire. And I'm just eyeballing it here. Maybe it's 4 inches. I don't know. We'll see. So for the wire, I see that I got interrupted there for a second with the signal. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get my pliers out here now. And let's see. Okay. All right, so on this wire, I'm going to make a loop on the end. Okay, just a simple loop like that. I'm going to take these 3 pieces with beads and I'm going to make a knot. And this is where I was saying the extra length uh, is good, because if you have a short piece and you're trying to make this knot, it makes it very difficult. So I know that it's a little bit wasteful, but it's better to have a little waste than to lose your sanity. So I'm going to tie a knot here. Even so, this is still not easy when you're working with 6 cords. last one. All right, so I'm going to scooch this knot down. And before I tighten it, I want to put my wire in here to get a hold of all the cords. Okay. So I want to double knot this. Ugh, no, 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 no. You kind of have to walk that knot down so it's in the right place. All right, and I'm going to tug on that a little with my pliers. Okay, and I've got my wire in here. I'm going to close up that loop. You don't have to do anything fancy, just kind of close it up. And then I am going to use my super glue now. You just want to make sure that hook is anchored in there, that it's not going to slip off. And now I'm going to take my glue, and you can use a toothpick or whatever if you need it. And where's the glue? Here it is. And we have to glue it. There's no way around that. The glue is going to hold that knot in place so that it does not come apart. I hate working with super glue. I always get it on my fingers. All right, so you want to make sure that you give a good coating of the glue where the knot is so that there is no possibility that this is going to come apart. Try not to get your glue on your beads. All right, I'm going to let that sit for a couple of minutes. It does take a little bit of time for it to dry. There's just no quicker way. But I'm going to be cutting these cords off, so I want to make sure that that the cords aren't going to open up and then the beads will fall off. So, all right. Where's the cap? Oh, here it is. All right. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'll talk to you, I guess. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. Okay. Oh, thank you for the top, for the compliments on the top, Mary. I got them at Kohl's. I got this at Kohl's. I don't know if everybody has a Kohl's where you live, but it's a department store chain around here. I'm sure that there are some in some other states, but I don't know exactly. But anyway, they have good sales from time to time, and I found several new tops that I really liked. So I bought them. I bought a bunch of them, and you will be seeing them from time to time. I don't need to wear an apron when I'm working on stuff like this. So, uh, you'll probably see me in different clothes from time to time now. Okay. Thanks, Tammy. How you doing? Yeah, the earrings, I think the earrings are kind of fun. Of course, they don't go with what I have on now, but I was wearing them the other day and I thought, they're kind of fun. They're not super long, uh, but long enough. I like them. So maybe I should have worn a top that would complement these better, but okay. But yeah, they're fun. All right. So, like I was saying with the Tierra Cast um, cones that I'm using, I'm going to measure it right here with my calipers. Um, this is in fractions. I don't want it in fractions. I want it in millimeters. This is about 15 millimeters long. And the inside diameter, let's see here, the inside diameter is about 8 millimeters. 8 or 9 millimeters is probably really good for this size bead. Okay, so Tiercast has a lot of them. They're pewter. They're not silver and they're not silver plate, but they hold up really well. I've used them before, like I said earlier, in lots of my projects. Um, Deb says, "Who are you kidding? You went to Kohl's to avoid packages being delivered and Al seeing them." Actually, we're way beyond that, Deb. Way beyond that. He gets probably just as much stuff, uh, packages as I do. So the other day, neither one of us got anything in the mail and or Amazon or whatever, and it's like, what? You know, it's uh, it's kind of bad when you can have all this stuff at your fingertips. So. Well, I assume you have a Kohl's by you, Deb? You probably do. Amazon is such a dangerous thing. I spend a good portion on that every day. I don't always buy everything or anything, but I like to look and I like to get different ideas. And they're a pretty quick place. You can get stuff in a day or two, so it's a pretty good resource. Let me tell you a story that I got. I mean, it's not really an interesting or funny story, but I've been seeing these ads for bras on Facebook. Uh, and, I don't generally buy clothing online. I've always been a person that's been very hard to fit things. I don't even know how people can buy shoes uh, without trying them on. But, I guess if it works for you, great. So, anyway, I saw these bras and I thought I really could use some new bras. Not that you really want to know this, but I'm sharing. So I saw these bras, and they are intended for people with a lot of real estate, up here. So and they snap closed from the front as opposed to the hooks on the back. And I thought, oh, that sounds good. So I get them in the mail a couple of days ago. They're padded, mind you, which they said nothing about being padded. I don't need any padding, thank you. But anyway, they open in the front, so you've got to get them out from the back and get them over your shoulders and get your boobs in there and then snap these things together. Well, there was no way in hell I could do this. This was not a one person job, and I wasn't wasn't going to bother Al with it. But it just seemed so uncomfortable, and trying to get these things, these stuffed cups together to snap them, it was just, it wasn't working. So I said, well, these are going back. So I emailed the company and I said, I need to return these. And, it says no problem returns and all that kind of stuff. So I said, I'd like a full refund. Well, I get a response a day later, and they said, uh, we can offer you 50% off, uh, good, like a coupon good for your next purchase. Um, and you don't have to send the bras back. Okay, well, I don't want the bras. They don't fit me. They would take me an hour to get in and out of, so forget it. I just want my money back. I told them that. So I got another email today, and they said, we'll offer you 70% off if you don't want to return them, and 70% credit for another purchase. Why would I buy anything else from your company? If that's the only thing I was looking for there, and they don't fit. So no, I want my money back. So, well, they don't offer free shipping. I don't care. It costs $5 for them to ship it to me. I'll happily spend the $5 in shipping and get rid of them. You know. So I still am waiting for the third reply, but I have to take pictures of everything. I mean, they make it like so hard to return something, uh, that I don't think I'll ever buy anything again like that on the internet. Just no, thank you. So that's my story for today. All right. So, all right, we'll get back to the earring. Okay. All right. Okay. So it's not totally dry, but it's dry enough that I will risk taking off the cords. So I'm going to cut the cords off, and right above the knot. And I'm going to get my cone and stuff it all in there. And I'm pulling the wire with my pliers to make sure it all gets seated under there. And on the top of the cone, just for a little decoration, I am going to put let's see here, I will put now see, this is 20 gauge wire, and that's fine. You could probably even use 22 if you wanted, uh, but I like the 20 gauge. So I'm just going to put a little bead on top of there just to give it a little bit of pop. Okay, let's see here. All right. And then I'm just going to do a wire wrapped loop. If you don't know how to do this, I have a video on how to do it. And this is actually way too long of the wire, so I'm going to snip that off. So I'm just going to wrap this loop. Wrap it around till it touches that bead that's on top. And then I'm going to snip the excess wire off. And then sometimes there's a little sharp piece that pokes out, and I'm just going to push that down a little bit with my chain nose pliers. And get my earring wire. Put that on there. And Bob's your uncle. There it is. So, like I said, I'm not going to do the second one because all the steps are walked through with this first one. And easy enough. And they're fairly lightweight. They're actually, they're not a bad weight at all. I can't take any kind of weight on my earlobes. It's just like too much for me. But let's see, I'll take these out. The shirt clashes. But anyway, um, I think they're fun. They're let's see, hold this behind here. Will you see it any better? That's it. So you can do a lot of different things. You could do these, I should say, a lot of different ways if you wanted to. If you're curious or not curious, but if you want to play around with the different um, seed beads, like I said, I wouldn't really recommend real big beads, but I suppose that would work as long as you start off and end with the little seed beads that will go underneath the cone, because that can be problematic, to the way that this one looks with the skinny cones, it's still fine, but it just feels like they're like too bunched up, kind of crammed right there at the base of that skinny cone. But I do like the look of the skinny cone too. So, all right. So that's it. That's it for this week, folks. I don't know. It was hard for me to come up with this one. I'm just trying to give you stuff that maybe you haven't experienced before and want to try something different. The cone ends, Tammy, I got their Tierra Cast products, and whoever sells Tierra Cast, I know that Tierra Cast itself, the business, went out of business, but I think somebody else is going to pick up the company and carry on, which I hope that happens, because, or maybe it has happened. I haven't heard lately, uh, because they have a lot of nice products that I have used for a lot of years, and I hated to see them fold up. So let's see. Anything else that I didn't answer? Okay, good. All right. Well, seems like you like them. I hope so. Pat says like a maternity. I suppose. I don't know. I never went through maternity, so uh, I don't know. Yeah, they might have come back or gone from come from Vietnam. I'm sure either that or China, someplace like that. Um, all right, I will send out the handout in just a few minutes. I don't really have any links for Amazon on this project, but I mean there might be a few things, but I'm not going to bother with it. Um, if you have any questions, you can always ask me, and I will try to answer those things for you. Okay, so I will see you in a couple weeks, and if you have some other ideas for me that you'd like me to see do, if I can do it, I'd be happy to share that with you guys. So, all right, thanks for being with me. I always enjoy when you're here with me. So, take care until next time. Bye bye.